Emergency podcast time, guys. The trade deadline has passed, and I'm going to give you a quick emergency pod about the Marlins and what they did this trade deadline, give you my immediate reactions. Wow, what a day. What an exhilarating day. From top to bottom, trade deadline should be a national holiday. Feels like Christmas. I mean, it's so exciting every single trade deadline, but this and it really kicked off last week for the Marlins. This was insane. And for the future of this team, I think it was incredibly productive and important, and I am very, very excited. Very excited. Started off last week. You had the Marlins trading off AJ Puck to the Diamondbacks, get Davison De Los Santos, Andrew Pintar. De Los Santos is one of the biggest power threats in the minors, absolute home run hitter. Then on Saturday, this one hurt. This one hurt. You trade Jazz Chisholm Jr., one of the faces of your franchise, beloved player in Miami. You trade him away to the Yankees, and you get back Augustin Ramirez as the headliner in that trade. Augustin Ramirez, another power threat. I mean, in the span of those two trades, you have two of the biggest power bats in all of minor league baseball, and they're in the Marlins system. A farm system, an organization that historically has been horrible the last few years at developing position players. Historically lacking power in every level of the minor leagues. And not only do you add De Los Santos and Ramirez, these guys are major league ready. These guys are as close to major league ready as you can be. You're going to see both these players in 2025 for the Marlins, which is what I had been preaching, which is the big, issue I had with Peter Bendix early on. Not only the decision to not upgrade the major league roster, but with the Luis Arias trade, it felt like his direction was going to turn the Marlins into seeking after highly rated, highly projected pieces, but still way down in the minor leagues. Younger guys, 18, 19-year-olds, who haven't seen AA, let alone AAA. And it felt very much like a lottery ticket. And I expected that going into this trade deadline as that being in the approach. And it could not have been further from the truth. The complete opposite with De Los Santos and Ramirez. Ecstatic about those two trades. So now we go into the deadline. Okay, it's deadline day. Best day of the year if you're a baseball fan. And first trade of the day for the Marlins, not Tanner Scott. That was later. That was the most anticipated trade of the day. But the other pitcher whose name starts with a T, Trevor Rogers. Trevor Rogers goes to the Orioles for two major league ready guys, both of whom who have already debuted in the majors. Kyle Stowers and Connor Norby. Connor Norby, second baseman. Stowers, an outfielder. Norby's hit every single level of the minors. He was the Orioles' fifth-rated prospect. He's already debuted. He's homered against the Marlins. He's going to slide right in and play every day for the Marlins. He's their everyday second baseman. If they want to put him at second base, I know people have also said he can play outfield. Good right-handed swing. It was incredible for Trevor Rogers, who just a couple months ago, many fans, including myself, thought he might be washed. I certainly didn't anticipate this return. An incredible return for the Marlins. And again, you started to see a path, kind of a direction that the Marlins are going. Major league ready guys. This rebuild, okay, what I have been anticipating as lengthy, without a sense of direction, especially without the addition of anything to the big league roster, and then the Luis Arias trade, it all signified long-term rebuild. This is going to be a lengthy process. With the Trevor Rogers trade, Jazz Chisholm, De Los Santos, You're looking at 4 players. You got De Los Santos from AJ Puck. 4 players that could contribute and should every day in Miami in 2025. It's incredible. They're going to be given every opportunity to do so. De Los Santos, power bat. Ramirez, catcher, first base, power bat. Kyle Stowers, outfielder. He hit for minors. Graduated prospect status. That's a good thing. Major league ready guy. And then my favorite of the day, of today, was Connor Norby. I mean, an absolute steal from the Baltimore Orioles. He was blocked in Baltimore, couldn't really find his way into the lineup. But now in Miami, he can have every day at bats. Can hit for average, can hit for power. Had 40 doubles last year in AAA. I mean, the kid is a stud. Absolute stud. Love it. I love this return for the Marlins. And they weren't done. They were not done. They do end up getting Josh Bell, trading him away to the Diamondbacks. They trade Bell away for cash considerations, or I've heard a player to be named later. Not really sure which one of the two it is. But that gives Bell an opportunity to be on a team contending for a postseason appearance. I love that for Bell. Cash considerations, you get at least half his salary out. So it was productive. You don't have to just DFA him. You found someone to take him. JT Chargois. JT Chargois gets traded to the Mariners. That was the third one of the day. And you get back Will Stromberg, a pitcher in high A ball, I didn't know anything about him, but I looked him up in high A ball, 2.83 ERA in 19 games, 92 innings, 116 strikeouts. The guy can pitch. And the Marlins love developing pitchers. To get that for JT Chargois, who had a year left to control, you weren't going to need him anyway. Okay, I'll take it. I will take that. So Chargois gets traded, Bell gets traded, and then you're still wondering, this is about an hour away from the deadline, what about Tanner Scott? Arguably the biggest piece the Marlins have going into today. Clearly the biggest piece. Going into, the last few weeks, you could say Jazz Chisholm. Most people said Tanner Scott. He's a rental. Lefty, reliever. Every single contender wanted him. About an hour before the deadline, comes out, Padres get him. What's the return? Immediately comes to my mind. What is the return? They end up trading Tanner Scott and Brian Hoeing for the Padres' 2nd, 4th, 5th, and 24th ranked prospects, 2 of whom are pitchers. The 2nd and 4th ranked prospects, Robbie Snelling and Adam Mazur. Robbie Snelling is in AA. He's been struggling. That's okay. 2nd ranked prospect, has a ton of talent. The Marlins can develop pitching as, the best. They're the best at it. Adam Mazur's already major league, ready in the sense is that he's been up here. The Padres felt confident to bring him to the big leagues. He's struggled. I would anticipate him starting off in AAA, but there's more development to be had with him. Can't rush him. But this is for a rental, remember. Okay? The Marlins can take Adam Mazur and Robbie Snelling and continue their development. Change things about them. Get them to work eventually with the pitching staff and Mel Stoudemire Jr., especially with Adam, with Mazur. Look at Ryan Weathers last year. I could see the same kind of trajectory where if they continue to keep Mazur in the majors, give him a few more games the rest of the way, 2025, spring training, he's battling for a rotation spot. Who knows? Who knows what you could have? And then the last couple pieces of that trade, the 5th ranked prospect, for the Padres, you had Graham Pauley and 24th ranked Jay Bashirs, both of whom are infielders. Graham Pauley is a hitter, first and foremost. Infielder, he's made his major league debut already. He can hit for some power. This isn't a lottery ticket guy, 5-6 years down the road. This guy will be given an opportunity. Graham Pauley will be given an opportunity to prove himself in the majors sooner rather than later. Absolute haul from the Marlins. For a rental reliever, and you wipe the Padres farm system of their 3 of the top 5 guys in their system. Incredible. You think it's towards the end. You're running like a 30-40 minutes away from the trade deadline. Brian De La Cruz gets traded to the Pirates. And I'm a little sad about this one just from a fan perspective. I love De La Cruz. He was one of my favorite Marlins. I loved watching him play. And I thought he was a really good trade chip. But it didn't surprise me he was traded. Teams will always need a power-hitting outfielder. He's hit 18 bombs already, and he had multiple years of control. The return for De La Cruz was a little bit more interesting to me. Jun Silk Shim and Garrett Forrester. Jun Silk Shim is a pitcher, 20 years old, hasn't pitched this year. He's been injured. Last year was his professional baseball debut in the States. In the FCL, he only pitched a few games. But he has an absolute howitzer of an arm. Fastball can flirt near triple digits. He has a couple different breaking balls and could develop a change, his changeup as well. Really profiles as a project guy with a lot of natural talent and raw potential that I think is intriguing, very intriguing for the Marlins. I mentioned how they develop pitchers. So Shim is somebody to definitely keep an eye on when he gets healthy. Garrett Forrester, the infielder, out of Oregon State, actually. So one of college baseball's best schools. It's going to be interesting to see where he slides in. But both of them within the top 20 of Pittsburgh's system. So for De La Cruz, it's an intriguing return. I think it's kind of worth a shot, at least with Shim, being as he's barely pitched, but the talent is there, and he could be a candidate in 2025 to have a breakout season in the system. And who knows? Maybe he moves up the ranks quicker than anticipated with the way the Marlins will develop him. Then you had the last trade of the night. Huascar Brazoban gets traded to the Mets for Wilfredo Lara. Wilfredo Lara, who can really play anywhere around the diamond. Kind of did some research on him before the podcast. And also has a cannon of an arm. From the outfield, he was clocked at over 100 miles an hour. He's hit. He's in high A ball. He hit low A. They promoted him to high A. Started off slow. Got better as the year progressed. Another guy you can kind of leave in your system and develop and see what you have there. Don't mind the return for Brazoban at all. I believe he was the Mets' 22nd ranked prospect. The Marlins have a direction now. They have a direction. 2025, you're going to see a lot of guys, lot of young prospects playing every day. And the Marlins are going to see what they have. Because in 2026, that might be the year you see a lot of improvement. If you hit on these trades, and I think the Marlins won the deadline by a lot. I mean, they traded away a ton. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 guys in the last week. They cleaned house. And you have a lot of talent returning to you. A lot of talent. 2025 is going to be a very intriguing year. Very important year for their development at the major league level. For those who are still developing. But Connor Norby, Kyle Stowers, Davison De Los Santos, Augustin Ramirez. I expect these guys to be getting regular at-bats in the majors in 2025. Maybe in 2024. Norby and Stowers for sure. Ramirez possibly. When do we see him? De Los Santos, same thing. All those guys have infused juice into this system. I got to tip my cap. Bendix cooked. Bendix absolutely cooked this trade deadline. Because no longer is the narrative 3-4 years down the road wandering with no direction. The Marlins have a direction. They're acquiring major league ready guys. Guys with power. Guys who can hit. And they're going to put them in the big league team and let them play. Let them play in 2025. Because in 2026, who knows, maybe you can make that jump to where you start to be able to compete. Still have a lot of pitching depth. Still have a ton of pitching depth. And now we see they just got more. Adam Mazur, Robbie Snelling. This Marlins team the front office executed this trade deadline to an absolute T. I'm extremely excited. Extremely excited. What a day it was. That's going to wrap it up for the emergency pod. I'm going to upload this, put it on YouTube, put it wherever you get your pods. Like, subscribe, share. Let me know your thoughts. How do you think we did in the deadline? Let's go fish.